Start. Let's do it.
Okay, so I got a question via email, and this comes from Felicity. It's quite long, so I'm just going to read it to you. And she says that she can't make it to the meeting. How unusual. Anyway, so this is a question about her quarter horse that she's owned for quite a while, but she gave it to a friend for a little while. It's always been very lazy. And she likes to work it on the ground first because she's not as young as she used to be. Felicity's in her 60s, and she doesn't want to get on until she knows it's right. And he's become very reluctant to move forward. He gets snaky when he's asked to move his feet. He pins his ears, he snakes his neck, and he's sometimes quite threatening. And so she's figured that she needs to increase his emotional level, and then she gets a bit sort of stallion-like, she says, at those times. And then she lifts it higher and gives him an opportunity to calm down. So raising his emotional level, she uses lots of changes of gait, from trot to canter, walk to canter, halt to canter. And he does these all pretty well, but there's a lot of fierceness in him. And then all of a sudden, he'll suddenly lose the plot and run sideways across the arena. So she can't hold him anymore. And at other times, he'll just slam on the brakes in the middle of the arena. Anyway, so with that background, she'd like to know what you suggest how to deal with it on 2 levels. So the borderline threatening behavior when asked to work a little bit harder, like a normal horse, rather than shuffling and grumbling and mumbling under his breath, and the subsequent losing the plot reaction. And she doesn't want to ride either of those horses. So she did manage to get him forward again by having opportunity to get behind his girth line when she was on the ground and give him a good old crack on the rump with the whip. And she said he was a bit threatening about that, but he did actually move forward. So she was quite pleased with herself. And from there, she worked him at a very high emotional level for another 5 or 10 minutes, again, offering him the opportunity to relax and come back to a level, or, you know, many times during that period. He was much better and more responsive and alert with the reactions came, and he was more sort of focused on her. So she's wondering then, how she can maintain this, and because she doesn't want to just jump on, and she doesn't ride quite as well as she did when she was in her 20s. She's actually an excellent rider, but yeah. And so what would you say to that, Josh?
It's got a couple things. One, a horse that doesn't want to move forward, whether it's lazy and it's upset about the legs, pinning the ears, will be real grumpy in the rib cage. If the horse isn't real grumpy, yes, you can get on, you can push him through it, and he'll get over it pretty fast. But what happens if you don't push hard enough, then the horse is going to get worse and worse and worse, and the threats just get bigger and bigger and bigger. You're better off by using either a rollback exercise, anything to work on change directions, or work on just driving the hips out from underneath them. Doing a haunches in will take away impulsion, but taking the hip and pushing to the outside on the circle will actually create impulsion and allow her to work on her inside leg, where the horse is grumpy off moving that leg. So instead of working on 2 legs, trying to just push forward, take 1 leg, work on the inside leg, work on the hip to the outside, crossing over. That'll keep the hip pushing. Change directions, make the hip push to the outside, work on that inside leg. Until pretty soon you can release forward and squeeze both legs and let the horse move out. But I wouldn't try to push him forward through it.
Okay. So if she was just working on the ground, do you think these sort of advanced inside turns, that lunging?
On the ground, the only way she'll be able to do that is that it won't relate to the rib cage. It relate to the whip, and it relate to the hip to go forward. It will help some, but not completely.
Yeah.
You know, as far as long lining him, if she's going to long line him, she'd be better off long lining the horse and being behind the horse where the horse isn't looking at her. Or she's not seeing the horse around her in a circle. She'd be better off behind the horse, driving the horse forward and pushing the horse into it than trying to drive in a circle. Because again, all that's going to relate to is just the whip and the hip going forward, which won't relate to the rib cage when she actually goes to ride.
Okay. All right, good. And another thing that she might try is to, I remember, you know, we used to always train the horse to to react, to move forward when you took your legs off, right? Because the anticipation is much worse than the actual touch of the spur. And if she's really reluctant to do that under saddle, she might try getting the horse used to the spurs on the ground. And I've done that with very sensitive horses before, where I've actually used the spur on the side of the horse when I'm not in the saddle, just to get them accustomed to it, because I know that if the horse does, buck when I'm in the saddle, the first thing I'm going to do is wrap my legs around it. And if I've got, great big spurs on, that's not going to be pretty. So I do that. And so I give the horse really clear cues. Like I'll cluck it to trot, and you can do this on the ground, holding one rein. You cluck it to trot. If it doesn't trot, you touch it with the spur. If it doesn't trot, you squeeze it with the spur. And, you might get a reaction, be ready for a reaction. But if you keep that sequence up, the horse is going to then associate that trot sound with that spur feel and is going to react before you do that. And so,
the other thing is, if they're going to use the spurs, roll the spur. Don't kick. Roll the spur, even on the ground, roll it. You'll get a lot more reaction and a whole lot less aggravation. But if I kick, the horse is going to push into me. But if I take that spur and I roll it, it'll soften the rib cage and move out.
Okay. Oh, okay. That's interesting. That's why you have the bigger rollers?
The rowels make a big difference. The size of the rowel and thickness of the rowel. The bigger the rowel and the thicker the rowel, the less severe. So you want to roll that rowel. You don't want to just kick.
Yeah. Okay, good. All right. So who has a question?
How you doing, Stephanie?
I'm cold, but happy New Year.
Look at that, but you're inside, right?
I know. Yeah. I'm in Montana, Big Sky, Montana.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Mike, I gotta tell you, you're looking sexy as ever.
Hey, I had a horse this week. It locked up on me.
Yeah.
We're playing around with getting it, move its rear end and then back up.
Oh, yeah, and it quit?
And he would just lock up on the back up. And then he got to locking up that you couldn't move his hip. He just lock. So I had to go back to the ground, but what should I have done?
You can't. You can go back to ground for a few minutes. Just unlock them and then get back on. But a lot of times when you're on the back and they lock up like that, it's from the back up. And normally you can go to the hip enough to make that hip move. What you're going to have to do is it's a waiting game. That's the hard part about that one. When they lock up, it's a waiting game, which means I'll take that head, bend it to the side. It's like watching TV. Right? If I was going to do this meeting and I want to put my chair this way and look this way, how long would you do it for? It won't do long. Eventually, either pick up your chair and rotate it to look at the TV. And that's easier than taking the TV and move everything in front of you. So horse, same thing. You take that head, you offset it 6 inches. That's all you have to do. And you wait. It'll drive them crazy. Eventually what will happen is they will turn, move their feet to straighten their head back up. So don't keep the head there. If you keep the head there, then they're gonna quit again. Just take the head to the side, wait. They'll eventually take one step to straighten their head up. When they do, release the rein. Pick up the other rein, wait. Once they take that step, release it. All right. We talked about that once about getting the horse out of a trailer. All right. If you take that horse out of the trailer and you just bring his head off to the side and wait there, leave. If you have to tie it back to the back trailer, just only 2 inches, wait. Go off for a half hour, come back. You'll see that horse will take one step back just to straighten his head and be standing there. Then offset the head again, 2 inches, and leave. Come back in a half hour or so, you'll see he took another step back to straighten his head up. Offset again, leave. And the hard part, leave, because otherwise you'll try to help him get out of the trailer. Just leave. When you come back by a third time, he'll be standing outside the trailer quietly. So that's a hard part about that. It's when they lock up like that, it can get real dangerous real fast. So you want to wait. It's a patience game, but you can do exactly what you did. If I don't have time, I'll climb on the ground, unlock them quick, get them off that rein fast, then climb right back on and go right to it.
Yeah, so the horse is learning the pattern, isn't it? So if you can break it down a little bit for the horse. So I think the key thing there that Josh was saying was that you release immediately, it takes a step. You know, we know you want it to go backwards, right? So I think you have to hold that in your mind. Just get some movement first, release on the movement. Then the horse can start thinking, oh, he wants me to move. Okay, well, I'll step there. And yeah, I would say you'd fix it in a few minutes on the ground and then get back up and do the same pattern on board. Because the horse doesn't want to be stuck, does it? The horse's emotional level, the horse is up here when it's stuck. It might not be moving, but it's still way emotional. So would like to find an answer. Yeah. And I like that also, that you're not offsetting its head, way offsetting its head. You know, just offset its head a bit. Yeah. Because engage.
All you gotta do, just wait. You'll see in about 5 minutes, it drives them crazy. And they'll take one step to straighten their head up. Then release the rein, do it again. And then that'll unlock them pretty easy. It's hard because I'm not a very patient person either, so it's hard to wait for them. But or I'll offset, and if I feel the horse isn't, he just kind of locked up and quit, but he's not explosive, then offset the head and just take the leg and just start going up and down on his rib. Don't go hard, just enough, just to up and down, and he'll take a step and release it. If you had to, the other thing I've done is climb on the dressage whip. Use the dressage whip instead of the leg. They're unlocked faster off the dressage whip than they were the leg. But again, I'm not a big fan of that either, but it's a way, it's a technique.
I am, I'd use one. Good, anyone else got a question?
I have a question.
Oh, good.
Hi, Toby.
Hi. Hopefully I can explain this well enough. I have a 3-year-old coming 4-year-old in for training right now. And I live in Maine, so that's my first problem, which is talking about. It's like 20 degrees on a good day.
Yeah.
She was rescued, so we don't know anything about her past, and it doesn't matter. And I just treated her like an unbroke horse anyways. So she's pretty anxious. She worries a lot. She does everything I ask, but there's always a level of worry. And, you know, I'm trying to do some loping on her, but she just like is terrified of loping. She'll do it, but she just kind of races around. Very stiff, really concerned about the lope. I finally got her to give a little bit at the lope while she was racing around. And that's as far as we get. And my biggest problem is with all her anxiety and worry, she sweats up quick. And I, you know, living in Maine in the wintertime, getting her sweating up, you know, it's really hard. I've been just trying to balance getting her to work with her a little bit without getting her drenched in sweat and worrying about things. So I was just wondering, what can I do to maybe help the worry a little bit more than, you know, I've been doing the.
Is she worrying when you're riding the whole time, or just when you're loping?
She never really seems to relax. You know, I let her walk on a loose rein, but it's a fast walk. The extended trot, we've been working on trying to get her to relax a little bit. So I've been doing a little bit of gear work like that with her. And the jog is pretty good, but she never completely relaxes anyway.
All right. Well, there's a couple things you can do. One's I call the hot and cold exercise. And what I'll do is I'll lope off on the right lead or trot, either way. It doesn't matter. I'm going to go to the lope as soon as I can, but even trot. If I'm on the right lead, I'm going to take the right rein. I'm going to break him down inside, moving the hip to the left. As I'm moving the hip to the left, the moment I squeeze that leg, I'm going to keep making that circle until I see the horse breathe and relax. So it's the reason it's called hot and cold. It's not about the maneuver. It's about waiting till the horse settles down. All right. So what happens is, as I'm loping, they get hot. I pick up the rein. I'm going to break them down. I'm going to squeeze my inside leg, and I'm going to wait there until I see them look at my leg and breathe. Once they do, I'm going to release that rein. I'm going to go the other way.
You're going to lope off the other way, or the trot?
Yeah, lope off the other way. Because when I break them down with the right rein, I'm taking the hip and pushing it to the left.
Mm-hmm.
But when I go to lope off, I'm already pushed the hip to the left, so he's already in position to pick up his left lead. So I break him down, but the biggest thing is wait till you feel him breathe and relax. And I know this because we just did it on this barrel racing horse that came in here. It was way hot. And the key is you got to wait till they breathe and relax, and then let go, ease them back up to lope the other way. Same thing, break them down. So what happens is and he starts to figure out real quick, and you're going to see it when I go to touch the rein, the horse is going to slow down instantly. So it's a good exercise for rating as well. Because every time I touch the rein, I break him down, wait till he relaxes. Touch the rein, break him down, wait till he relaxes. It's going to take 15, 20 minutes, and I touch that rein, that horse comes back and gets real quiet fast. Then he also gets real quiet to my leg. It's important you use your leg because a lot of times that's what's causing the anxiety, not necessarily the rein or the lope. It's the anticipation of me using my leg. So I always use a lot of leg on that just to hold it till I know that they're relaxing to my leg, not squirting out in front of me like toothpaste.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I'd add to that too, you said, Toby, that he's not really relaxed all the time, like when you're working. So I'd work on that too. So don't worry so much about the gait, but try really playing with his emotional level while you're riding in walk and trot. So, push him up and then offer him an opportunity to relax and really take control of that emotional level. Because at the moment, he's controlling the emotional level. He's saying, that canter is, or lope is, too emotional for me, and I'm just going to charge off and put my head in the air. So, you push it up, because I always find that we need to engage the horse with us. So what's happening, most of the time you've sort of got him in trot, you're sort of okay there. Sometimes he, might go a bit fast, might get a bit anxious, but most of the time you're okay. And then what happens when he goes into flow is you lose him. You're no longer communicating with him, yeah? So you need to make sure that sort of bubble of communication that you guys have got is strong before you go into low. So it's a bit like the horse that, is okay riding right in the arena next to the house, but when you take it into the field or something or on the trail, it goes bananas. And that's because the rider hasn't got enough communication with the horse. So the rider's not actually controlling that horse's emotional level. So I think that's what you need to do first. So really learn where your horse's emotional level is. So when he goes, I always judge it out of 100. My horse is always something out of 100 emotionally. If he's 50, he's just standing there, he's tacking up, maybe, just doing nothing, normal, okay? When I get on, I need the horse to be between 10 and 15% above resting to be engaged and thinking about me. So if he's 60 or 65, he's in that engagement zone level and he's learning. If he's above that, which your horse is at lope, he's not learning because he's running away from it. If he's below that, which Felicity's horse was, when it's just switched off and won't move forward, then he's also not learning. We're getting nowhere. We need to keep them in this engagement zone level. So what you need to do is practice pushing it up and letting him relax, pushing it up and letting him relax. And, for a lot of people, when they get those horses that are overexcited, the last thing you want to do is push up his emotional level. Yeah, you're going, oh my God, no, it's already bad enough. He's at an 80. We are charging around the arena. Well, the thing is, you can't force him to relax. So you just can't do that, right? Well, the only thing you can do is you can push it up a little bit. Like I push it up 2%, and then say, now would you like to relax? And he goes, yeah. So by pushing it up 2%, he's no longer controlling the emotional level. You are. You say, oh, you want to be at 80? Huh? Try 82, but you don't have to do that in the low. You have to get control of the horse's emotional level. You can do that in the walk and the trot. And so it's really, that's the best place to do it. And by the time you get to the lope, then you go, huh, I know. You're going to go up to an 80 when I put you in low. And I'm going to be able to push you up to 82 because I know what's in there. And then I'm going to offer you the opportunity to relax, and you're going to do so.
Thank you.
I got one more thing to add to that I was thinking about. Stop being such a good rider. 100%. What happens is, especially when I break horse out, them things is when I'm riding a hot horse or nervous horse that won't calm down, then I have a tendency to be quiet with my legs, quiet with my hands, make sure I breathe, make sure I'm giving everything I can to make sure I'm a good rider and I relax. Do the opposite.
Okay.
Move around, jump up and down, throw the reins around, and you'll see a lot of horses will panic because they don't have enough direction. Enough me saying do this, do this, do this. So some of those make the best horses because they trying so hard. They're all over the place trying to do what you want, but that brings in. So if you're not telling them to do something, they get nervous. They start getting more excited, more nervous. So what I'll do is lots of change of directions. Don't care, but move your hands, shake your hands, throw the reins around, bounce around that saddle, become a bad rider. Let them know where you're at, and all of a sudden you'll see the horse just automatically start to relax. But if I stay quiet, if I ride too good, then what happens if I get off balance or if I pick up the rein a little too fast, the horse panics again and gets nervous. So I practice throwing the reins to him, shaking my hand, and get forward and back in the saddle, move her all over the place. And finally, you'll see the horse will start off, be like, he'll be real nervous, kind of jumping around a little bit. In 5 minutes, he just won't care. He just thinks that's normal. So the more I can move around, the more I can shake, bounce, make noise. There's an old saying that you've heard the saying that a calm rider will make a nervous horse calm. A nervous rider will make a calm horse nervous. None of them are true, but there is one. A spooky person will make a nervous horse calm. All right? So every time I'm around a horse, I just kind of jump and just keep walking. Just jump, make a sound, keep walking. In a week, you can't do anything to make that horse flinch because he just thinks that's normal. So when we get too quiet, because we're trying to calm him down, so we get quiet, will actually make that horse more excited. They need more direction. So the more I can do with them up there, the more I move around, the more I let them know where I'm at, the quieter they get. The ones that got the best broke horses are kids because they do everything you tell them not to do. They're standing up, throwing around, they're jerking on the rein. Ends up making a quiet horse. So you might, ride like that way during your lessons. Still do the same lessons, the hot and cold work and the different lessons. But as you're doing that, practice. Throw the reins away, pick up, move around, shake. Make sure he knows you're there. You don't want to steal the ride. Make sure he knows you're there and what your intentions are. But if you're quiet and you don't show anything, then he doesn't know exactly what your intentions are. And that can cause anxiety as well.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
That's a good question. This is a bit like condensing a clinic, isn't it? I mean, you get a lot of information. So we need some more questions. Who's got a good one? Or a bad one? Ordinary one. I have one for
Hey,
you,
Josh, Travis.
Good. Travis, go.
What are you doing, Travis?
Hey, doing good. I don't really have a training question this time, but I do have a product question coming from you. And I know a couple weeks ago you were working on videos and new CDs coming out. And I just wanted to hear an update or status on that.
We got about 44 videos in this online school now of different exercises, the outside horse, the unbroke horse, some shoulder work, gear work, just a bunch of different exercises in the course now. In January, what we're doing is we're going to add another 30 or 40 videos of ground exercises, a lot of the groundwork, trail loading, those type of exercises. So right now we got about a little 40 videos, but most of them are all riding. But they are up and going now.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
And how, this is probably a silly question, but how do you access that again?
Just go to the website. It's the online school now. It's
okay.
So yeah,
Travis, if you go to the old website, Travis, you can find it from there. Just under services or something. It's the online training.
Okay, got it. Appreciate it.
You're welcome, buddy.
Good. So my question for you, Josh, and a lot of people here are trainers themselves, so they'll be getting horses in all the time. What do you do when you get a horse that you just have a real personality clash with? Like, do you ever get a horse that you just think, oh, I really don't like you very much?
Oh, I get a bunch of them I don't like. Yeah.
I thought you might.
Yeah, but
I wonder
I
how
don't.
you handle it.
Yeah, but nice thing is I don't have to like them. They're not mine. I just have to train them. So I don't take it. Every horse I ride, you're riding for a purpose or for a goal or for an individual. So I'm training for them. You know, so I don't have to like them. I kind of keep my emotions out whether I like them or not. Because there's a bunch I don't like. And I know the ones I don't like, I got to be careful because I'll pick on them worse.
Yeah.
I'll get madder. And so I just don't think about it. You know, the horses in reality, the horses that you pick on the most are your own, not the client's horses. You have way more patience with a client's horse than you do your own horse. We expect more from them. It's like my kid, I expect more from him than I do the other kid coming over or Greg's kid coming over to clean. I don't expect as much. But my kid, I expect, a lot more. So
Sure.
When I get the horses I don't like, I just know that this is temporary. It's not staying home with me.
Yeah. But you're aware of it and you're careful.
Yeah, I got to stay aware of it because I'll pick on them too much. There's one I had that last year named Champ, and I really didn't like this horse. Really, really didn't like this horse. Hated riding this horse. But he showed great. When running pin, he showed great. He was solid in the pin, but on the warm-up pin and all the work, he just hard. He's one of those you could get after it, and then he would do it right. But then the moment you back off and you let sit 3 seconds, you have to start all over again. And it just got aggravating. But he showed great. But again, I just got to look at him and remember, not my horse. I don't have to like him. I just have to do my job.
That's good.
I mean, Mike, I've been trying to get him to get rid of those gate horses forever. He won't listen to me. I'll still help ride him.
I have 2 trotters now, Josh.
See, you rode some Rainers down here. I don't know. See, I'm
well, you know what? Just because of that comment, Josh, I think I'm gonna bring a trotter down here on the 4th of January just for you.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah, that'd be great.
Just to help support Mike there.
Oh, that's fun. I like him if I'm gonna eat lunch and ride at the same time. But other than that, I don't see the point. I want the other one.
He likes them spotted and he likes them trotting in a lot of spots.
Yeah. It always made sense. If a horse couldn't figure out what color he was going to be, then there's something wrong with him.
I don't know. It's a different color every year, though, isn't it?
Oh my gosh. Well, email's got a question?
Email? I have one on email, which is about a horse that he's fine getting on the trailer and he gets stuck on there. And can you please tell me how I can train the getting off the trailer? He's fine. He walks straight on and then she can't get him off.
Trail loading, most of the issues aren't ever getting him on, it's getting him off. And we focus always on just getting him on the trailer. All we think is get him on the trailer. Then when it happens, we're like, shoot, we can't get him off now. So that was why when we're teaching it, putting one foot on and taking that foot off, if a horse takes and puts 1 foot in the trailer, is he going in or coming off? Well, if they said he's going in, no, he's coming off. It's a practice of practicing backing that horse out. So it's 1 foot in 35 times, 1 foot out 35 times, 2 feet 35 times, 2 feet out, because you're focusing on teaching the horse to back out. When she put that horse in the trailer, she had one goal in mind, was get the horse on the trailer. But she didn't teach the horse how to come out of the trailer. So now that the horse is stuck in the trailer, then you're going to have to go back to the technique of offset that head 2 inches and wait the horse starts to step back. But if she tries to get that horse and push that horse out of that trailer, the horse is going to try to turn around, or she offsets the head too much, it's going to try to turn around, make a bigger wreck. So when she's loading that horse, whenever I'm teaching a horse to trail load, I'm not really thinking about trail loading. I'm thinking about unloading.
Yeah, okay. So you've got to teach it all at the same time. Teach getting on and getting off at the same time.
By the time she does the 35 feet on each foot, by the time she gets to the second foot and she starts the third, this horse is going to want to jump in the trailer. It's her job to say no, because that's not what she's working on. She's working on coming out of the trailer. The horse won't have a problem getting in, and the horse is going to try to get in way too early. Her job is to stop it. And if she's having a hard time with the trailer, then work on a pedestal where she can work on that and teach the horse how to step off that step. And you can see it, and then when she goes to the trailer, it'll even be easier.
Okay, well, that's good. That's good advice. And it's all about self-carriage, really, isn't it? You know, the horse who's not getting off the trailer, or the horse who's going on the trailer before it's asked to go on the trailer, is simply not in self-carriage. It's, and as you often say, it's about teaching the cue to stop doing what you're doing, which is as important as teaching the cue to start, or more important than teaching the cue to start. I think we don't often think about self-carriage in that way enough. You know, we think about self-carriage, think about, you know, dressage horse or something in a particular frame being ridden, whereas self-carriage is everything. Self-carriage is doing what you've been asked to do until you're asked to do something else. And so it might be holding your foot up for the farrier, it might be leading, it, you know, it might be cantering a circle, but it's still self-carriage, where we're not having to tell the horse every stride, or to tell the horse, you know, to stop doing something, or the horse waiting for us to ask it to stop doing something.
The quiet group. Everybody must have had a really good night last night. It's real quiet. I had a good night.
Josh, I have a question.
Hi, Mom. Yes.
Hey, I work with somebody very close to you. I work with Michael and Julia.
Oh.
Been working with them for 2.5 years now, and I actually bought Max Marin's horse, Scarlet. I don't know if you remember her.
Yes.
So she's a finished trainer, and probably since about last May, she's been giving me a fit with going into the right lead. So I don't know if there's any suggestions you could give me, but we all know Scarlett knows how to do her leads correctly. She's just kind of, I guess, bullying me, but I don't know what to do. I put her hip in, I get her nose softened to the right.
Don't put her hip in, put her hip out.
Out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because what happens is when you put that hip in, you're putting your leg on and you're trying to push that hip to the inside. And then you're trying to lope off. Well, when you go to lope off, you kind of let her go a little bit. And that's going to swing her hip farther outside, making her pick up that opposite lead. All right?
Okay. So a little backwards thinking there.
Take her and push her outside and get her reaching outside, and then switch legs and let her step forward in the lead.
Okay. So soften the rib cage from the right, and then when she lets go, then push her from the left.
Right. So as I'm trying to circle, I'm going to take my inside leg, say going to the right, take my inside leg, my right leg, I'm going to push her rib cage out. But I'm going to keep her shoulders on that circle.
Okay.
Don't let her side pass do a diagonal. Keep your shoulder on the circle. Just have the hip cross out underneath her as you're making that circle.
Okay.
So keep your shoulders on the circle. And then as you go trot, as you're getting that hip reaching, switch legs. And the horse already telling you what happens is when you put pressure on her rib cage, she'll move correctly. But the moment you let go of that pressure, she's going to slingshot back.
Okay.
So if I'm pushing a rib cage to the left, I let go of that right leg, where's her hip going to want to go?
When you push the rib cage to the left, automatically you're going in the direction you need to go.
Right. Well, what's going to happen is the more I push this way, the moment I quit pushing, she's going to do this and step right back, which is the correct lead I wanted to pick up.
Just like if I were to push you, and let go, you're going to fall back. Okay, I gotcha. Yeah.
And that'll
All right,
make
I'll
her
give
start
that a
stepping
try.
back to that correct lead.
Okay, I'll give that a try. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And Josh, would you recommend that Marlo change the bend in the horse at all? Change the head? And if she moved the head to the outside a bit, that's going to encourage the hips in, isn't it?
Yeah, but we don't want to do hips in. We
No,
want to keep
but I mean, it's going to encourage the horse to pick up the lead. If she bends the head a bit to the left when she asks for it, she's going to get even more hips to the right, correct?
If that horse is a finished reiner, it better know when that head's bent right, it's going right. When it's bent left, it's going left. The reverse arc, which is different than diagonal. The reverse arc makes the outside shoulder lead. You can use that to pick up the right lead. If it had a problem, or if I was working in an unbroke or something that doesn't know much, but because I know Max and that horse is finished trainer, I wouldn't go back. That horse, I wouldn't go back there because that reiner knows to pick it up. And if she works that stage a little bit out, it's going to take twice and the problem's fixed.
Okay.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so that was quite interesting, Josh. So if you had a much less experienced or trained horse with the same problem that was just any old horse that was having trouble picking up the right lead, what would be your advice there?
Oh, there's 15 ways I can pick it up. I can pick it up on a diagonal. So what I'll do is ride a diagonal to the right, pick up the left lead when I get to the wall. So push them all over the wall, pick up the left lead. I'll put poles in the corner if I have to. Push them to the wall, go over the poles, pick up the correct lead. I can turn around and use a rollback to pick up the correct lead. The hot and cold exercise, that will work on picking up the correct lead. The reverse arc, taking the horse and reverse arc circle, making the outside shoulder lead, that'll push the horse across into the correct lead. There's a bunch of different ways, and it would just depend on the horse. Even what I'll do is I'll practice riding a 45-degree angle right into the wall, turn right, and go. And that'll pick up the correct lead. So there's a bunch of different ways to pick it up, depending on where the horse is at his training. And the nice thing about knowing 16 different ways to pick up a lead is each horse will, the rider will have a couple that's their favorite, they understand. But each horse will work better with one of those ways. I want them to do all of them, but what I'll do is I'll find the first one that works the best for that horse, and then I'll start adding others into it. So when I'm finished, when we at the reining and I go to show and I pick up that rein up and I put the hip in and walk forward a couple steps and lope off, that's not for the horse, that's for the judge to make it look pretty, but it's actually physically harder for that horse to take that hip, hold the inside, and slowly pick up that lead because you're changing gait in that position. And what happens is when we think of gait change, we're thinking more speed. So when I pick up that rein and I put the hip in and I get it where I want, now the horse is kind of stuck.
Yeah.
So let's say my left leg means right lead. So I pick it up and I put hips into the right. Well, I'm using my left leg. But now he's stuck. He's like, well, I'm putting the hip in. So I add more leg, putting the hip in. Doesn't work. So then I have to kick with both legs, and that throws the hip back to the outside. Right. So how does a horse know the difference? In most cases, we're overdoing the hip. We're putting it too far to the inside. The only time I do that is if I'm showing and I want to show off to the judge, but it's not for the horses. It's not for the horse's best interest. It's to show off for the judge, to show, look how much control I have. And that's what they're looking for is, can I put it over there and step forward and still keep the same amount of collection? Because that's a pretty tough maneuver.
Okay, I like all of your ideas there are great. What I would really like to see, because I know you have nothing to do in January, is for you to film those 15, and we'll make a lope module for you. Okay.
All right. Well, good.
Stephanie's
going to be doing a lot of filming.
Stephanie, so what's happening, Stephanie? Are you coming to Tennessee? Is that?
No, we'll be in Colorado doing the accreditation.
Oh, great.
So, yeah, first 2 weeks of January.
Oh, that'll be so cold. Wow.
We'll be making, I know, right?
Nice and cold.
I'm getting ready right now. So we'll do some videos. Might as well.
Oh, yeah.
I'm bringing the
Excellent.
camera. So we got about 40 I need shot. So piece of cake.
Yeah.
Day's work.
Fun.
I am excited about that because I know we can get another 40 videos shot in January. So you guys, by the time February, I know we'll be able to get a lot more videos up for you.
That's great. Yeah, really good. Really good.
And Mike, thank you. Mike's been sending me emails about different ones that he liked because he's worked with me and gone through the programs and things he thinks going to be useful for everybody. So I got 3 of them already from Mike to shoot.
Oh, that's really good.
One was even how to test your horse's body weight with a weight tape. If anybody knows the formula for that. Body condition score, and then how to get your horse's body weight off a weight tape. So we even do a couple little side videos like that.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And there's also some things we might put in the resources section there for you, Josh. I've got quite a few things from the science background that would be really useful resources. There's a couple of good apps as well that we could give people links to. There's a really nice, actually, one I found the other day, which is a pain scale, which shows you how to rate your horse, you know, by looking at it, by its facial expression and stuff for pain and things. They're very interesting things that I think, and body condition, that sort of thing. Some of the veterinary ones from the universities out of the States are great at the moment. Guelph actually has Guelph Equine have some good things too. Yeah, we'll get some links up.
Put that out there. I think that's important. As far as horse training's great, but 80% of horse training is learning how to keep that horse sound. If you're not sound, there's no more training. So it's all about keeping the horse sound and knowing the body condition score. So knowing that if the horse is down in the pasture, you know, today you can't figure out why, but he's a body condition score of a 7, you know it's most likely founder. You know, it's kind of just good knowledge to know.
Mike.
Yeah, I have a question for this online deal. You got somebody coming in that hasn't really worked with any of your, philosophies with training a horse. Obviously, you'd start with the guide, give, frame. But how would you suggest they actually work through this? Like, when do you go to maybe the serpentines or something like that as you're working through this course? Could you give like an overview of how somebody should actually work through?
But so here's an example. You got your foundation on all horse training is going to go through those 5 steps: guide, give, frame, elevation, position. All right. So that happens. That's your foundation. But that foundation applies to every maneuver. So if that person's starting off on serpentines, you can do serpentines. So the first part of the serpentine, you just guide it. Don't worry about the give or softness or bend. Just guide. Then add the give, then the frame, so forth. If I'm going to start to spin, same thing. Spin, first thing, all I do is I just make the horse guide, just make him turn. Then I add the give to it, then the frame, then the elevation, then start controlling position. But that your foundation is where I start with it. They have to understand that foundation so they can eliminate trying to think about the softness or the nose or all the other stuff and say, okay, just guide. Now you can do that if you want to just do lope circles or just trotting circles, or if you want to do serpentines or anything of that matter, but they have to understand the foundation. And then they got to understand the 5 releases. And the releases to me is probably the more important. Because if you don't understand the release, what happens is in our mind, we only think that we have to let go when they soften up. That they have to soften up. And that's not the case. I can have a response release is when I'm release on the movement, or a softness release where I'm waiting for them to soften up, or a mark where I'm trying to say, listen, I'm not the release. Something over there is a release. So they have to understand how the releases work, and then they have to understand the foundation. And then you can put any maneuver with that, as far as say, okay, you want to practice serpentines with it, and serpentines are probably the easiest to practice with it. So I probably have them start with serpentines, you know, and then I'd move them on to locking onto the circles. And then once I got locking on the circles, then I'd go to gear work. Because gear work to me is where people have the hardest time, is understanding how to maintain a speed. Not have this horse go faster or slower. To click up, hold the gear. Click up, hold the gear. Go down one gear. Go down one gear. But they all have this picture of us saying, okay, listen, we just want this slow lope, and we want this fast lope, but we don't have the gears in between. And so it's just it's sporadic, it's rush. So if I was going to teach somebody, well, when I do, the first thing I got to know is the 5 foundation steps, and they have to know how the releases work. So today, when I work in that horse, is today a softness release or is it a responsive release? Right? The first horse that Kate was talking about, when the horse was sluggish, didn't want to move, what type of release would you use for that, Mike?
I'd go on a response off of that one. I'd try to get that horse to respond.
Right, because you wouldn't use softness because that's going to slow the horse down. So we'd use a response release, but you know that. So that's why it's important to understand that, the difference, right? Because there's the 2 completely different releases and they get 2 completely different reactions. So if they don't understand those releases, they don't know which one to use. So that's about what I would do when I started it.
Thank you.
You're welcome, buddy.
So you just work through the guide give frame elevation position to nauseum, and then once you get that, you just go to the 5 releases and then go from there.
Yep, you can do that lunging.
It is, yeah, it is structured so that you can go through it. I mean, it is structured in order. So you should be taking, you know, the shoulders, then the serpentines, and then, you know, the gear work, and it is structured in that order to work through. Yeah.
And so you can start that, even that same foundation can be started on the ground, just on lunging. It's a guide. I don't care about the give, just guide. And once he's not pulling on me and taking off, then I can, as he's going around me, say, hey, give, but keep going. Then I can start framing him up. I can even do the same thing on the ground, following that same foundation and understand those same releases.
Yeah, I did that actually because I've got my training, that's the Kandoo Gold training, and I've got a lot of people that have got Josh's training and my training, and one of them was Felicity, who wrote the question this morning and said that she's 60 and doesn't want to get on her horse that keeps galloping sideways across the arena. And so I adapted the Josh's 5, you know, guide give and so forth to long reining, because we do a lot of long reining, and they're getting on really well with that. So we just work through exactly the same thing on the long rein. So for people that, you know, aren't yet on the horse, don't want to get on the horse or whatever, the horse isn't started on a saddle yet, you can do all this stuff on the ground, which is great. And that will also come into Josh's groundwork when we have that module going. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, if no one,
you have any other questions? How you doing, Wendy? I saw you on there.
good. Well, if that's it, I think that is it for us today. I'm going to stop the recording and I'm going to post this into the training as well, so that if any of you want to watch it again who are in the training, and for anyone who is in the training that didn't make it, they might get some good information from here. So I'm going to stop the recording now, and